is Rebecca Schissel-Marshall with Whole Body Upgrade, a podcast to help you get unstuck, feel better, and have more energy. Let's get started. Welcome to Whole Body Upgrade. I'm Rebecca Schissel-Marshall, and as always, I'd like to begin by welcoming in the directions. I welcome in the great direction of the east, in the south, in the west, and the north. I welcome in the direction that is above and below, and the direction that is within. I welcome in all the helping and compassionate spirits, as well as the ancestors who have lived well and died well. And I acknowledge that I'm on the land of the Creek and the Cherokee that is now known as Athens, Georgia. Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 87. I am so glad to be here. I missed being here last week. I had one of those weeks where it was clear that the kindest thing to do for myself was to rest and nap and meditate and go to the woods. I was dealing with some really big emotions, and I wanted to be able to fully show up for you all. I was processing a lot. I was feeling the sensations in my body, and really big energy was rolling through, and I didn't want to miss it. So I was there, and now I am back. And I learned a lot in that, even that 1 week off of listening to myself, SelfTrust. And in fact, I am going to be on the SelfTrust Summit coming up at the end of this month. So as I was thinking about that, I just got that interview today. I wanted to talk about self-trust on this episode. I was just recording this video, and it really caused me to think back over my trajectory of self-trust and how much it's really changed for me over the years, and also what I see with my clients as well. Interestingly, I was thinking about this the other day. I used to think of self-trust as the ability to trust myself when and if I made the, putting in quotes, right answers or chose the right thing. It's kind of like one of those epiphanies I had of like, oh, that's what I thought self-trust was. If I knew I was right, or if I chose the right thing, then I could trust myself. Confidence was then kind of dependent on me getting it right. Thank goodness now I see is that belief, right, that I had to get it right is simply residue from my past perfectionism. I really wanted to know the right answer. I wanted to know what the right decision was, and it isn't possible. There is no right? There is no right answer. So if that isn't self-trust, if self-trust isn't about trusting yourself to get it right, what is it, right? What is it if it's not that? Well, it's probably going to be no surprise to you if you're listening to this podcast that I see self-trust as something that's holistic and multimodal. And what I see is that it actually involves multiple pieces. It involves 4 pieces. And I didn't really see how all of this came together until recently for me. So I'm going to talk about these 4 pieces to help grow self-trust. The first aspect, the first area, is that I really see self-trust as residing in the body. For many years, I had so much trouble making decisions. I mean, could not make a decision, could not do it, because I really had been taught to look to other people first, to make choices based on pleasing others, right? There was a lot of people pleasing. There was a lot of making sure that everyone else was okay. I hadn't developed that internal compass for what I wanted, for what I was desiring, for what felt true and right for me. So I would make lists of pros and I would make lists of cons, and I would have these logical, this one seems right, but I never really knew what I wanted. And years ago, I was introduced to a tool called the Body Compass. It's a tool in the coach training that I did, the Wayfinder Life Coach training. And I really learned, and it's so much practice, I learned to tune into the wisdom that my body has to offer. This moved my trust from my mind, right? My mind getting it right, the logical decision making, to more my heart and body, right? It went from my overdeveloped analytical skills to what my heart and body were saying to me, were speaking to me. This was a game changer. This was everything. And it really taught me this foundational skill that was necessary to trust myself. In shamanism, they refer to it as the truth chord, right? There's a similar feeling or process that you tune into of looking for that yes or that no, and it's like a resonance in your body, this truth chord. It resides in the body. Both of these tools involve looking within and using the physical sensations of the body, right? Not looking outside, but looking within to determine what's next, right? Whether it's, which path do I take? What food should I eat? Should I have lunch now or wait? Those are all little micro decisions that we make, and we can even use the body on those to practice. I have found this extremely useful. It just took it out of the head, took it out of that back and forth and should I, shouldn't I? And it changed everything for me, right? So I practice this every day. I use this all the time. When am I going to rest? Is it now? Is it later? How do I want to rest? What do I want to eat? All the way up to making major life decisions. The second area, another critical component that is important for trusting yourself, is practicing, and this won't surprise you, practicing rest and stillness. What I found is that when we are attending, paying attention, right? When we have that space for rest and stillness, that listening, what I have talked about before as deep listening, occurs, that we have that opportunity. We've created a space for what your heart, what your soul, what your body is trying to communicate to you. In my experience, that the more that I am, rest can look so many different ways, as I've talked about, but the more I'm sitting in that stillness, that I create the space, the more that I can listen, I can hear that wisdom, I can have information drop in from life, from guides, from my own inner knowing, or I can, something may show up in a particular way, right? Maybe my rest is going to a bookstore and I just am just there, not because I'm looking for an answer, not because I'm trying for something, but I can just pick a book off the shelf. And in that might be a piece of information that I've been wanting or needing, right? And rest can also be sleep, right? Getting enough sleep. And just as a little side note is that when we don't get enough sleep, when we get less sleep, the amygdala is very activated. The frontal lobes, that kind of logical piece, actually go offline. So we aren't able to be as calm and centered. And everything just really feels so much harder. So when there is rest and space, then you're nourished. And this then flows into the next aspect that helps with self-trust, and that is self-compassion, right? So this is another important aspect. Everyone that I know, including me, has a very critical, what people would call a conditioned voice in the head that really says mean and unkind things to us. Sometimes that voice feels like it's coming from ourselves, but it's actually a mixture of our childhood upbringing and the society, right? Societal inputs of expectations and experiences and what should be, right? And that leaves us with this overly critical, judgmental voice in our heads. Self-compassion is the practice of kindness towards ourselves, and, compassion for others would be the other piece of that. So you can turn your attention towards your feelings, your experiences, and the love for yourself. So if there's something that you desire, bringing up that self-compassion of, gosh, this is really hard for me, and it's going to be really hard for people around me. How can I support myself in this decision that feels right to me? That can be really important. It can also translate into knowing that you have your back no matter what, right? That no matter even if this is really hard, that you will continue to love yourself, right? No matter what choice you make. This is huge when you want something that is different from what society says is appropriate or normal or expected, right? This self-compassion includes being in a relationship with yourself. If you say you're going to do something that is nourishing, that is self-care, and you do that thing, it builds your own self-trust of, I know you needed to rest. I sat down and took a nap. I made space and time for that, 15 minutes, and I did it, right? I can trust myself that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. So often we say we're going to do something, right? I'm going to go for that walk today. I'm going to take that nap today, or take time for lunch outside. And then the day hits and blam, right? We're out. We've forgotten. So self-compassion is really listening to what your body, your mind, and your spirit, what they need, and then finding a way, even if it's 1 minute, to actually do it. One way that can make this easier is by breaking it into small steps, right? So if there's something that you want to do that, your body's like, what I really need is an hour-long walk in the woods, and I need to sit under a tree, and I need to meditate. And you're like, okay, I have 5 minutes. Maybe we could just go outside and feel the sun on our face, right? So sometimes it's taking very small steps. 1 minute of meditation, going to bed 5 minutes earlier, right? Building that trust. And each time you show up for yourself in that way, you're building self-trust. Finally, another critical component, another really foundational aspect of self-trust is actually what sounds a little counterintuitive, is building a relationship with your guides. This sounds opposite of trusting yourself, but again, it really goes back to resting, being still, allowing the wisdom, not only from your heart and your mind, but life or intuition to drop in, and allowing your guides to drop that in next. And knowing that you have that support system of, no matter what you're going to do, you have support there of no matter what you want, right? They don't tell you what you want. They support you in what you want. So when you use all those pieces, right, listening to your body, using your inner wisdom, resting and being in stillness, self-compassion, and calling on your guides that are there, the world becomes this game of warmer, colder. Do you remember that game? When you're trying to find something and the other person says, you're getting warmer, you're hot, you're so hot, you're on fire, right? Now, that's what self-trust is all about. You're learning to listen to the sensations, to the messages of what feels right for you, right? What feels warmer for you. And if it's getting colder, if it's like, oh, you're ice cold, you're so far away, that's okay. You just start changing directions, right? Like, well, I don't really want to be doing this right now. How can I make this a little bit warmer today? And it's growing a muscle. Self-trust is a practice. It's there. We have always had it. It's within us. But we have all these layers of society and expectations and family that are kind of covering it up. And so we're just doing this process of uncovering what is available for each one of us. If you don't feel like you have self-trust, that solid self-trust, it's totally possible, right, to clear these things away by practicing self-trust and building that muscle of self-trust. Okay, dear ones, my sweet friends, I am hoping that this is helpful in you taking a step towards your own self-trust and building that muscle. And one of the best places that I think this is going on is actually in my community, A Place to Rest. We have our next energy session on Friday, May 6th. And I'd love to have you join us. It's only $54 a month. You can try it for a month, see how it goes. Or you can stay for several months. And in that, you get 4 live energy sessions. You also have the community of a group of other women who are resting, who are listening, who are talking to spirit guides, and who are using their body, right? Listening to what their body needs. All of the pieces that are essential in building that self-trust. Okay, friends, I'd love to have you join us. I'll put the link in the show notes. Take good care of yourselves. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Whole Body Upgrade. If you'd like to learn more about working with me, you can visit me on Facebook or Instagram or on my website, Centered You, that's centeredyou.com. See you on the next episode of Whole Body Upgrade.